Scene one, Apple, take one.
You want to get high?
That's right.
You got me smoking. You got me smoking. You got me smoking, smoking. You got me smoking. You got me smoking. You got me smoking. It's a motherfucking podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Oops Caught Me Smoking, and thank you for clicking that play button. And we have Casey McNeal coming on today. But before we get to him, let's show you what I'm smoking on. Hit it!
Sativa dominant hybrid, 70% sativa/30% indica. 23.63% THC. Wedding Crasher is a sativa dominant hybrid strain created through a potent cross of the classic wedding cake crossed with purple punch strains. You ready to crash this wedding? You'd better be prepared for a super long-lasting and energizing high that will get you up and moving on the dance floor, working on your to-do list, or simply getting in on meaningful conversation with friends and family. You'll feel a lift at the onset of the high, immediately slamming into your mind with a sense of happiness and motivation. You'll be infused with a sense of creative energy and focus that has you feeling laser sharp with mental clarity that replaces any negative feelings or racing thoughts. As your mind flies higher, you'll feel a sense of sociability wash over you, giving you the energy that you need to easily converse with those around you. In combination with its high 19% through 24% average THC level, these effects make Wedding Crasher perfect for treating depression, chronic stress, mood swings, nausea or appetite loss, and inflammation. This bud has a sweet and fruity grape berry flavor with a light vanilla exhale. The aroma is very similar, although with an earthy diesel effect to it. Wedding Crasher buds have long forest green nugs with thin orange hairs, purple undertones, and a coating of tiny amber crystal trichomes.
And we have a special guest on our hands. Mr. Casey McNeal.
Hey,
How's it going, buddy?
I'm great, man. If I was any better, I'd have to pay entertainment taxes. So it's looking up for me. You mind if I smoke?
That's what we're here for, bro.
All right. This is what the heck is this? Shit. Yesterday I got Apex Gorilla Glue and Clementine, because my sativas have been making me a little bit they've not been doing what they're supposed to be doing. I guess sometimes where you get to this, like, I guess sometimes where I'm buying, like, oh, there's a sativa, that's the fucking cheapest one, right? I know this will be all right, that's all right. You know what? And not really looking at the terpene profiles, and not all of them have them printed on there and that, and it's just getting lazy to buy the shit that's cheap. I suddenly found out my weed was not doing what it's supposed to be doing for me, like last week.
Right.
And so for all of you people out there that just think, oh, I just smoke weed because it's weed, just give me the weed, or people out there who think, I don't smoke weed because it does blah, blah, you're probably smoking the wrong weed. So.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I've had people say weed gives me anxiety attacks. I'm like, that's because you're probably smoking a sativa and you need an indica.
That's right. It's like I got to the point where I told the dispensary not to sell me Chocolope anymore.
Yep.
I said, if I ask for that shit, do not sell it to me. Like, you know, if I forget that I hate it, like, please don't sell me this. Like, it's you wouldn't think that there's a weed that would make you edgy with your wife and stuff, you know. But at least one thing, you know, here's something that people who think that you know, pot is some kind of fucking gateway drug. It's the exit drug, is what people need to understand. It's like there's a headline that you will never read, you know, like, man ODs on marijuana. Man beats his wife in a pot-fueled rage. Like, it just, you're not going to hear it, you know?
You'll never hear that. You'll never hear that, like, this guy smoked entirely too much weed and then started beating on his wife. You'll never, ever hear that. It'll never happen. He might have ate all the food in the refrigerator, and his wife would have got pissed off at him and then beat him. That might happen.
Right. He might have talked through the whole movie, you know, but like that's nothing really serious. It's gonna happen.
Right,
No.
exactly. But go ahead, for the people who don't know who you are, Casey, for those uneducated people out there, go ahead and tell you and introduce yourself and let these people who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, well, I'm a stand-up comic. I've been in the comedy business for about 25 years. I started, well, actually 30 years. I started, shit, man, I go back a long ways. I probably worked with some people that in the old days that you guys would find amusing probably today. But I started like 30 years ago, I guess it was 1991. So yeah, that's 30 years, isn't it?
Yep.
And then the first 4 or 5 years, you know, I got to where I was what's called a feature act. So that's somebody that does like in the old days, in the 90s or the former golden era of comedy, most of the rooms were what we called A rooms, like, you know, the Improv or, you know, a Punchline, that kind of thing. They had a pretty standard format, which was you either had 10 comics in there doing 10 minutes apiece, or you had somebody who came out as an MC, they did 7 minutes. Then a guy would come out as an opener, he does 12. Then a feature act comes out and does 30. And then your Seinfeld or what comes out and does 45 minutes, right? Well, I was the 30-minute guy, like back in the 90s. So I had really the sweet spot because the whole show doesn't ride on me, you know. At the same time, you don't get all the, you know, the best, you know, fanfare and everything from everybody, but it pays and it was good work and I was doing it, enjoying it. But then I had an opportunity to get into public speaking, which is to do humorous keynotes so that, you know, the annual meeting of underwater basket weavers, you know, they want a speaker to come in. And the distinction is between the speaking and the straight up club stand up is that the speaking stuff usually has kind of a message with it, or it imparts some, you know, a few takeaway things, or it's theme based and it's corporate in nature. And, you know, but the comedy bar is set in a different place and it just operates different than, you know, club comedy. Now, I was pretty successful at that, but I was also successfully becoming an opium addict. And so I got hooked on pain pills. I'm telling my whole long story. It's a long story, folks. Just say, hey, I'm Casey McNeal. I'm a comic. Well, here's the story. Okay, I got hooked on painkillers, and I was highly functional. Traveled all over the world as a public speaker. Starting, you know, I'm taking like unbelievable, unfathomable amounts of painkillers. Really, I mean, I probably I was prescribed like, you know, 200 Lortabs in a month.
Wow.
100, well, actually not even Lortabs. They're actually the 5 milligram Percocets, 30 to 60 Oxycontins, along with I took 20 milligrams of Valium every day at least. So I was like rich in the shit, and it got to a point in the mid 2000s or whatever. I guess like 2015, maybe 2000. Yeah, late 2015 maybe, where my wife sat me down in a very kind way and said, "This lifestyle is not sustainable." You know, like we weren't hurt by it, but she just recognized, like, you know, people like me, you know, die in their sleep because they took too much shit, and or you know, you take all your normal painkillers and then you know. In your Valiums, and then you think, oh, I got a little sniffle, and you take some cough syrup with it or something and wake up dead, you know. So my wife is like, this shit's, it's not going to work. You're either going to end up in the heroin or you're going to, you know, something.
Right.
So she said, why don't you do the weed thing? And I'm like, fuck yeah, girl. So you're about that. I'm about that. So that was a mutually agreeable decision. When I went to the doctor, I said, I don't want this painkillers anymore. I want to go see a weed doctor. And I went and saw the weed doctor and said, I don't want those painkillers anymore. They wrote me up, and the rest is history. And when I got clean from the pain medicine, which is a very long, you have 1 month of recovery for every year you're on this shit. So I had 30 months to look forward to of that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah, so a lot of recovery and a lot of weird shit happened. And the ironic thing was, in the public speaking, the people that did arranged all my bookings, they had all these jobs and all this work hand over fist. As soon as I gave up the junk, they didn't want anything to do with me.
Oh wow. It's
You
like
know,
always.
everybody says, "Oh yeah, I gave up opium, and my life came together." I gave up opium, and my life fell the fuck apart completely. It could not have fallen apart worse. I lost everything, because it was my recovery was difficult. My personality was weird, and things were, it's just a weird fucking time. But we were just like, nah, we'll just get somebody else. So I decided, what the fuck? I'll go back to the small stage. I'm in recovery right now. I got a job at a dispensary, marijuana dispensary, and yeah,
Nice.
man. And then I ended up out in the grow. I ended up in the I did everything, man. I did processing and trim and grow and fucking distillates and blah blah, the whole nine. My real gift though was with patients. But so I decided to go back. I got a job at a dispensary, and then I just started going to open mic nights, which is like where comics would go and try and work out new stuff and that. And it's, and these guys see me in the back of the room. Some of them know me from the old days or whatever, but they just sort of let me come in there and start doing my stuff. And I just rebuilt my act. And, now I've got a whole new, 45 minutes and probably more than that, but, I got 45 minutes that I do. And so, I got a new headline act. I've got the old act in that as well. And I've got a new lifestyle because I gave up all the other work I was doing my whole life and just said, fuck it. I'm 60 years old, dude. So I'm like, I got, what am I going to get? Ageism is like, what am I going to do? Try and compete against the 30-year-olds for another fucking 5 years? And I'm not going to get retirement money out of that or whatever. So here I am. I'm just doing my comedy again. My wife works, so, that helps me.
Now, with all the COVID coming to an end finally after like almost a year and a half. Now, are you like starting to go back out into like comedy clubs and getting like the stand up and the audience back, or are you still?
Yes, and yes, because I have been. They're starting to open up. Like New York just started to open up a little bit more. Greenwich Village Comedy Club that I perform in a lot down there put up in one of my vids recently, and Broadway Comedy Club has asked me to come back and stuff. So that's looking up. Providence, Rhode Island's been open for a while, so I've been hitting some couple of venues down there. Connecticut has had venues open, but I haven't really worked those. But I'm more of a New Hampshire and Maine kind of guy. So I've been doing the shows that are out there. Boston has just been locked up really tight. Last Boston opened like April 1st for like the first time in a year.
Wow.
So nothing in Boston has been open. And I live specifically in Somerville, and this guy's got it locked up even tighter over here.
Okay.
So he wouldn't even allow nightclubs or anything like that to even do partials or nothing for the longest time. No. Here's the other thing. When they opened the bars here in Boston and in Provo, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to let people come in the bar. We're going to let people have dinner. We're going to let them be in there at this capacity. But you can't tell jokes to them because if you're doing any performance stuff, they're going to get COVID for sure. So like, for whatever reason, bars were open, performances were banned.
Wow. Yeah, that's weird. Like they were saying,
I can't play. If I serenade you with guitar while you're eating your dinner, you're going to get COVID. So it's too dangerous.
Right. They were saying it's like church, like people in churches too weren't allowed to sing because they might spread COVID. And I was like, are you crazy?
So I'm like, I can't imagine why it would matter that much more that we'd be in there telling them jokes. But things are starting to open up. I'm at Bruno's Pizza in Bath, Maine on the 12th.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm at Bruno's Pizza in Bath, Maine on the 12th. But I still do a lot of Zoom shows. There's a lot of stuff going on with Zoom. The cool thing about the Zoom, I resisted at first, but the Boston, I was official selection for the Boston Comedy Festival this year, and they had to do virtual, and it was their first time doing virtual, and they brought us in like these professional coaches that taught us like best ways to do stand up on Zoom, and how to do do your mic thing and do your work and try to work the room as it were, do as much as you can, and that helped. And then I had to do the Boston Comedy Festival virtual, so then I got wet. And once I got wet in it, I just started doing it. But the good thing about it was that I have been able to do, I've been doing shows for like Flappers out of Burbank. I've done shows for comedy clubs in Texas and in Chicago and in Colorado. And so I'm working clubs that normally would not have booked me or even, seen me in some cases if we didn't have this chance. So I don't want to say I'm trying to make the most of it, but trying to make the most of it.
That's exactly what I'm doing, is I'm trying to make the most of it. But yeah,
what I can with what they give us to work with, brother.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And you probably don't know this at all, but I also dabbled in the stand-up myself for about a month.
Oh, is that all? Why does he keep going?
Yeah. Oh, the place I did my stand-up, like at first when I started doing stand-up, it was like as like a joke. I was there to see another a friend of mine, and then he'd ended up getting cold feet and not showing up. So I went up and did his set for him. Not his set, but I did like his time, and I pretty much just winged it. And the first time actually killed it. All 12 people in that club were laughing. It was great. And then like the second time I went up, I didn't rehearse or anything like that because I killed it the first time, and I was like, I got this.
Right.
And then I ended up bombing and I get booed off the stage. And then the third time I came back, it was like a few weeks later, and I did okay. But then after that, it was just pretty much okay, and then bomb. And then the place closed down, and I was just like, huh.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's cool. You can even keep doing it, keep doing mics and stuff. It's like, there's basically there's a couple kinds of comics. There's hobbyists and then there's pros. And I know hobbyists that are actually pretty good comics. They get booked a lot. They do shows. They do a lot of open mics or whatever. They're not going to, they're not going to be in any, largely paid room or, in some cases or whatever. But in some cases they do. But I'm just like, they either are hobbying and waiting to get discovered or something. But I don't want to say you sort of got to quit your job and just go all in, but you really got to work.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of my day writing. I spend a lot of my day promoting shows. I spend a lot of my day trying to book shows. It's like, people often ask me like, how'd you get that gig? How'd you get your gig? Like, I fucking hustle. That's how I get my gigs, man. It's my fucking job. I work at it,
Right. Yeah.
Just sit around waiting for people to call you. I guarantee you, they don't need to call you.
Right. They don't understand that there's more to than just getting in front of a camera or audience and just saying jokes. Like, you gotta do paperwork. You gotta hustle your stuff. You gotta sell yourself. You gotta brand yourself. You gotta put everything out there, and you gotta make sure people see it. Yeah.
It's like, I might do a whatever. If I do, I just started doing the TikTok shit and the Insta shit. I send you a couple of those things. Yep. It's like, I've been taking the steps from clubs because it's a little easier for me in some. But like the point is, though, I could, that 13 seconds that you watch in there takes me 2.5 fucking hours to put that together with the captions and the thing, and the branding's got to be just right, and the logo. And you got 5 sites you got to put it up on, and now I got to check my emails and remember that. I got to call back to this guy. Oh yeah, I got that fucking movie set I got to be on tomorrow. It's work. But if you do, just like anything, I tell people, anything you put your energy into gets bigger.
Yep.
Just like anything in the world.
If you put 100% into something, you're going to get back 150. That's the way it is. Yeah. You might not be right all at once or right away, but eventually it's going to come back to you.
Oh, man. So as you were talking about how you got into this, I got into this for a girl, man. I was 31 years old when I started doing stand-up. I was divorced, and I went out with this girl that took me to a comedy club. And I'd been in a comedy club before, and I'd been in acting and theater and stuff like that in my life. Yeah. But I had the greatest fucking time, and I loved the stuff that they were doing, and I enjoyed the show. And I'm like, fuck, I could, I don't want to say it's the typical like I could fucking do this thing, but like I kind of was like that, I said I can fucking do this. So I got together like 5 minutes, maybe it was 3, I don't know. And I did an open mic night in there, and I didn't invite her. I didn't let her come. I didn't invite her to come to see anything. So I've been doing it for a couple of months. I think a couple of months, yeah. So I went and I did a mic. I said, and I did okay. And the guy asked me to come back the next week. So I went back the next week. And the way he did mics then, like an open mic in Boston, if you say, I've got an open mic at, Charlie's Chuckle out on Thursday night, 45 fucking comics are going to show up to do that. Okay. That's how it is. Yeah. Where I started, there was only 6 guys in the whole state who were even fucking interested, you know? And
Right.
so, but you know, you might get the 10 or 15 guys who want to go up, but the way those clubs worked back then was on the open mic night, it was still like curated. Like you went and signed up, and then they chose like four or five people off the list of 15 that asked to be in.
Right.
And you got up there and you fucking made it work. Like you didn't fuck around, you know, because you were auditioning on some level, you know. So anyway, I did the 3, and he asked me to come back the next week. I did it again. He asked me if I had 5 minutes. I said, of course. You know, I didn't, but so I came. Then he started booking me to come in and open, and you know, stuff like that. And then I had a good mentor, and then because I was in a much smaller market.
Mm-hmm.
When comics, like big name comics, come to town, they don't travel with an opening act most of the time. They use some local opener who's already in that town, you know. And like I said, where I was, there was only half a dozen of us who were any good. So back in the 90s, I opened for Sam Kinison, I opened for Margaret Cho, I opened for Judy Tenuta, I opened for like all kinds of, you know, people back then. I opened for Sam Kinison the week before he died.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
He
I do
did
like
the Zephyr Club where I was in Utah. So it was in Salt Lake City, Utah. Then he went over to Northern California. And within, you know, I don't know, within 6 days he was dead. I'm still friends with his wife. She lives in Las Vegas.
Oh, nice. Nice. Now, where's your favorite venue to play?
Oh, I like these.
What was your favorite?
Wow. Well, let me think about that.
Okay.
Go to the next question.
All right. Hecklers. Have you ever been heckled? And if so, did you tear him a new asshole? Because I know some comedians just live for the heckle.
Yeah, they do. Well, Steve Hofstetter has like made a fucking career.
Yes, he
for
has.
himself. You know who he is? He's a comic. Like he got all his the most heckled comic anywhere. I don't know. He must be really controversial. When he does this shit, I can't imagine any comic getting his heckle as much as that guy does. But anyway,
yeah,
you know, it happens. But I usually try to ignore the heckler initially. Because I'm often afraid to engage. In my early days, I was afraid to engage them because I was always afraid they'd end up being funnier than me or that they would hand me my ass, you know. So I always tried the first technique was like to just try and ignore them, you know. And then, you know, you get the skull crushing comebacks once in a while where you're like, hey, I don't go down to McDonald's and bother you while you're working, you know, or whatever, you know. But but the best guy, the guy that actually inspired me, and he's really a very straight-laced dude. He'll never see this podcast in a million years. But as I was going to shout out to him, Jeff Burke. I was shout, hey Jeff, yeah, remember this? He'll never see this. But Jeff would, whenever he had somebody who would like shout something out or whatever from the others, he would like engage him, and he would engage him in a way where he would turn him into his friend. Like he would talk about him and talk with him and talk like make him look cool. Because obviously, like they're trying to get attention or whatever. So he would be like, you know, he would still be joking with the audience and stuff like that. But he wouldn't try to make an asshole out of the guy. He'd try to make him look cool and try to talk to him and just be cool and nice and whatever and laugh it up with him and then try to move on, you know. And he almost invariably could turn the dudes around.
Nice.
So I try to take more of that punch where, you know, where I will talk with them.
Okay.
If I, you know, if I get a heckler, but I still to this day, I usually try ignoring them sometimes first. But then if they come on again, then the audience will say something, I go, I'll handle this, you know, and then you just you ask them what their problem is, and then you just start riffing if you can.
Right.
Because you got to have a few things sort of ready, you know. You know, the kind that if you know, like when you know what there's techniques, a lot of comics seem like everything they come up with is just like, spontaneous or whatever. Most of the time it's an illusion, you know, spontaneity that comics give you. And certainly there's some that are geniuses just off the top of their head all the time. And I'm privileged to know a few of them. But what most of us do is like, things like, the things that motivate it. It's alcohol. It's showing off for a girl. So you can call out those things. They're like, oh yes, excuse me, yeah, could we please seat the drunken bachelorette party up front? You know, like you sort of like make some jokes about they've been drinking too much, you know, and that sort of
Right.
thing. And then and usually you can move on. But drunk people, you can't shut them down. If they're gonna heckle you and they're gonna say something, you might as well either try and ignore them, try and not give them a voice, or talk with them for a while, because you can say any fucking skull crushing thing to them that you want. You're not going to shut them up if they want to talk and they're drunk.
Right. Yeah. It's like drunk. Like I used to be like a hardcore drinker. I am. I think I quit drinking when I was like 25. So I'm like almost. What's it? Well, it wasn't 25. I'm lying. Probably about 9 years ago. So I'm about 9 years sober. So I was about
Great,
30.
congratulations.
29 to 30. Yep.
Yeah.
And then so I started smoking weed hardcore, and they made it a little simple, little more simpler.
Yeah, it
But-
does. Makes it a lot simpler, man. Because this isn't going to kill me. There is no lethal amount of this I am ever going to take, and that's good news for addicts like me.
Yep.
It's very good news for impulsive people like me. It's good for obsessive people like me.
Yeah.
I will tell you this: I didn't get a lot of heckling where I first started because I started in Utah, right?
Yeah.
Now the hardest thing in Utah was to make funny for a sober audience, you know.
Mhm.
And like my impression of a Mormon heckler looks like this: like, excuse me, you are somewhat less than we had anticipated. Or like, you know, even if they were heckling, they'd be polite about it, you know. So like,
Right.
I never really had, you know, a lot of it then. But yeah, the drinking stuff fuels some crazy stuff. I think I got an answer to your other question. My favorite venue is unfortunately not open anymore. My favorite venue to perform is a club in Arvada, Colorado. Actually, I think it was the town that's right next to Arvada, Colorado, but it's a burb of Denver.
Okay.
And the club is called the Wits End, and this place sat 300 people, and it was packed all the time. And he had his show schedule was like Wednesday through Sunday, and I featured in there. I did 30 minutes in there when I worked in there, and you stayed in the condominium that the club had, and you drove the club's car and got paid good and that sort of thing. My other favorite is probably the Improv in Las Vegas. And we did 21 shows a week in that club.
Yep.
Which is a grueling schedule. We did 3 shows a night, 8, 10, and midnight, every fucking night. And are you a Sopranos fan?
I was until the last episode.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
always
well,
the last episode that kills me.
Yeah, well, I'm not. I shouldn't say a fan. I should say more like a. You're familiar with the series.
Yes.
The guy, Steve Sharippa. Steve
Uh-huh.
Sharippa was the entertainment director at the Improv at the Riviera in Vegas when I worked there.
Oh no
And
shit.
he was a much fucking scarier gangster in real life than he ever was in that show.
Yeah.
I mean, oh, he's fucking mean. He's gigantic. He's nice now. He's just chill. He's kicked back. You know, and when he's nice, he's nice. But when he's fucking pissed off, he's pissed off about stuff. And he really drove stuff hard. And he was the entertainment director for like all the shows in the whole casino for actually like 3 different casinos. And you knew he was fucking connected. Like
Right.
that's not an act. Okay. Actually, like I said, he was actually a lot more serious gangster in real life than on the show. He was like, wasn't he played like he played the husband of Tony's sister or something, right?
Yep.
And so he was like, you know, the sort of, he wasn't the balls up guy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But out there, he was fucking large and in charge. The guy is gigantic for one thing. He's huge. And I will say all this stuff to his face. I hope he watches it. Steve, I just connected with him actually a few weeks ago. But he would say this stuff like, you call me right as soon as you get into town, you call me. Right. So I get into town, I call him and say, who gave you this number? Like, so that's the kind of guy that he was like, you did. What are you calling me for? You know, it's because you told me to. Don't do that again. You know, so then the next time you don't call me, he says, why don't you call me when you come into town? I told you every time you come to town, you got to call when you get here. So he was that kind of a guy. You know, he couldn't please it. Yes, make sure you're hawking a lot of fucking t-shirts.
Right.
Oh
exactly.
my God, we sold those Improv t-shirts. We autographed them after the show. So yeah, that's 1992. Oh, and one very glorious week that I was there as well. I worked, I had dinner every night with Sam Jones from
Nice.
Flash Gordon. the guy from Ted and all that shit, and we became good pals back then. He was shooting some fucking made-for-TV movie or some drive-in sort of movie, some shit. He did all that second B movie shit that he did back then. And we used to eat in the casino commissary together all the time. Well, saw a lot of fucking depressed people, man. those fucking blackjack dealers sitting there. Oh my God, they complain. But yeah, that was another good gig because you got your room, you got a nice suite for the week. You got, I made back then, I don't know, was it $500 a week, $600 a week or something, which was, I was MC and I wasn't, there was like, everybody did like a few minutes and then there was like one headliner did like 20 and all the comics did like 7 minutes or something, but I was MCing, but that was pretty good money in the, 92 for, a regular job. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I loved Flash Gordon.
30 grand plus my room and board.
Oh wow, yeah. So no kidding. Yeah, I grew up watching Flash Gordon. It was right at my young age, my like oldest youngest age, I guess. I want to say like 6 or 7. I started watching it, and then cable happened, and then gone.
Right.
But yeah, so now I wanted to ask you about the last comic standing, like in the season 10, because I was looking for it and they said that season 10 was canceled.
No, see, here's the common this is a common misunderstanding about this last comic standing. There's a little spin involved here because NBC had a series called Last Comic Standing, very powerful series, great series. We all love the series. That fan, good friend of mine, won the very first one. Right, good guy, good friend. Now, they had like whatever. I don't even think they had a season 10 canceled. I don't think they ever had a season 10. I don't think they were ever close. I don't think they had more than 4 or 5 seasons for that actual show. Okay. But the Mohegan Sun Casino has a comedy club in there called the Comics Roadhouse, COMIX. And they have a show called The Last Comics Standing, and they run it every season. It's a competition that you start in July, and you have to go all the way until like the end of November in order to win it. And if you win it, then you start gigging at the Mohegan Sun, and you get the bragging rights from the competition and the blah, blah, blah. But it's like, if you're going to spin the thing, if you're going to say I was in it, it's like, I either have to say I was in it or I have to leave it out of my credits. If I say I'm in it, then I have to explain it sometimes to people like this when I go, no, not the NBC one.
Right.
It's just a thing where they're springboarding off the name so that they sound cool. It's their branding thing that they're doing, which curses all of us comics because it makes us look cool and doofy at the same time. You see what I'm saying? It's like, you were in Last Comic Standing, sort of. Right?
In a way. Let me explain.
Yeah, in a way. No, but I did. It's like same thing. I have an NBC Tonight Show credit. And so people, ask me about my time on the couch with Jay. It's like, it didn't work like that. Like, I was in something called the NBC Tonight Show Comedy Challenge. And it was a nationwide comedy challenge for all over the country to drill down to one winner from comics all over the country, right? So I became a finalist in that contest out of my region and blah blah blah. So and they showed a clip from my set on the show. Okay. So it wasn't me coming out of the curtains on the show doing my 5 minutes. It was them showing a 2-minute clip of mine on the show, along with a couple of other finalists' 2-minute clips. So I told jokes on the Tonight Show. So I have the credit. I don't say it's the NBC Tonight Show. I say it's the NBC Tonight Show Comedy Challenge. Right. And then they go, were you on TV? Yes. Yeah. You on the Tonight Show? Yep.
Like, did you
sit there on the couch? Nope.
Nope.
So people have a hard time putting it together, but how that one worked too.
Yeah, they instantly think they say they hear the Tonight Show and they instantly just go to it and you're just like, oh, so you were on the couch and you were talking to
right.
Blah, blah, blah.
Which you want to know what? Let me tell you something. In the world of spin, one of the things that I have found it's important. I should say in the world of credits, in the world of promotion, it's important to let your audience see you the way they want to see you.
Yep.
Don't tell your audience how uncool you are. Don't go out of your way to remind them you're not as great as they think you are.
Right. Exactly.
You're just not going to do it. It's just not how it works. And speaking of that last comic standing, I'm in that shit again. I'm in the fucking shit again this year. I'll probably end up in it again this year.
Oh,
so
nice.
Season 11.
Is that at the Mohegan Sun again too?
Yeah, it's at Mohegan. Now that's a nice room.
Yeah.
That room seats about 300 to 500 in there.
Yeah.
And the files in that are pretty stuck. But that thing is more of a doing that show is more about being seen to get booked and to get booked at Mohegan Sun.
Okay.
For me, because I don't, I mean, yeah, and $1,500 or whatever it is it pays, at the end of the contest,
Right.
But some contests like Boston Comedy Festival, that's just like that's an internationally recognized credit. I mean, like you've got of comedy festivals in the world, you've got like you've got Scotland, you got the Fringe there, you've got Just for Laughs in Montreal, you've got Winnipeg. In San Francisco.
Okay.
Then it's like Boston Comedy Festival. There's maybe 2 or 3 other festivals because a lot of people have comedy festivals don't really mean that much. Like Boston Comedy Festival is a place where agents will watch you there. TV guys will watch you at this thing. So that's what I mean by a real festival where like you're doing. You're taking meetings with agents and managers and you're getting schooled by them and they're talking to you and teaching you the ropes and all that kind of shit. That's a fucking legit festival. Some people have comedy festivals just like, it's the Yoho Boho Comedy Festival put on by, the 3 guys that raised $2,000 or whatever. And that's just not the same thing. But Boston Comedy Festival is probably one of my best credits. Mutiny Radio Comedy Festival, New York Underground Comedy Festival. The Comedy Festival credits are some of my best credits. The NBC Tonight Show, looks good. It looks great when I'm getting introduced for public speaking and, stuff like that. But it was, even if I had been on the Tonight Show, it was fucking 1992. Like how relevant would it be? I look back. Yeah, I look back at guys. That I know who I've done comedy with, who were comics on the Tonight Show in 1990. And it's like they're not selling their act with that shit. You know what I'm saying? I did TV. So that's all you have to be able to say to be able to work for a long time. To do late night TV. I am currently working on a new late night TV set.
Oh, nice!
So keep your fingers crossed. This time we might bag it for real.
Nice. I'll be looking forward to it. You have to dip me on the messenger. Let me know.
Yeah, man. I'm telling fucking everybody. Believe me.
I'm gonna blow that up.
Well, when I came back to do stand up in the small stage, and having been really hurt a lot by my addiction recovery and stuff, like my confidence and a lot of shit, like I didn't know, am I going to be able to get up in front of people and talk without being on pills? So then the thing was, well, am I going to be able to get up and talk when I'm on this? So when I'm on weed, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to tell jokes. Like I got to remember 45 fucking minutes of what I'm going to say. I like shit. I don't make that shit up as I go. It's a fucking hack. It's memorized. Like I got to remember that shit, Yeah.
And you can't take a piece of paper with you.
What's that?
You can't take a piece of paper out there with you.
Well, yeah, some guys do. You put a little bit, but essentially you got to remember the shit. So I didn't know if I'd be able to do this at all. So I did something some people might find unusual. As I was doing these open mics, like 2016, and just coming back in that, I would actually go outside the fucking bar and I would get as high as I could possibly fucking get. Like I smoke a boomstick, man. I would do a dab. I fucking eat some edibles and shit. I would get just fucking wrecked before I got on stage to see if I could learn to do comedy while medicated,
Right.
Because it's all medicine to me, man. It's just,
exactly. That's exactly what it is.
This shit has not put me to sleep in like 3 fucking years. Okay. Like I can smoke my body weight. Right. So so it's been like 4 or 5 years, like normalizing my life as like, you know, being not high is the weird thing I wouldn't be able to cope with
Yeah.
life about now. You
That's
know?
yeah, that's like one of the things about being like I don't want to say a stoner, but you know, that's kind of what we're branded as. But hey,
Yeah.
I'll embrace it. But that's what it kind of is that we're like branded as people that just get high and lay around the couch all day. And it's like, no, we're productive stoners.
That's
We can
right.
smoke and we can go about our day and still get shit done.
Yeah,
And
right. So
people don't
it's like
understand
it's
that.
like weed. Yeah. So I used to hear somebody talk about that, talking about, you know, weed not being addictive and that sort of thing. So it's like, you know, that, so if you can't hold down a job or you can't, that's not the weed's problem. That's your fucking
Yeah.
problem. Like you're not, you know, I won't say
Right.
you're not smoking the right weed or you're smoking too much. You're not smoking it right. You know, but the idea that like perfect homeostasis wellness can be achieved through
Yes.
cannabis is beyond any question.
Right. So, like, my favorite saying is, "Weed doesn't make you lazy. If you're lazy, you're gonna be lazy.
Yeah, right.
If you're a lazy person, you're gonna be lazy."
Yeah, weed might make you embrace your laziness, right?
And bold, but yes.
Yeah, but yeah, you can get this, and there's just no way that my life is not better on this, and that everybody else's life wouldn't be.
Exactly.
I mean, the hemp seed has every nutrient that the human body needs to sustain life. Like all we need are hemp plants and us, and we can get by. You know, biofuel, food,
Yep. That's what.
paper, canvas, everything.
Yeah. So, I don't understand why people. Well, they're still cutting down trees to make paper when you can make hemp.
Oh,
You can make paper out of hemp, and then it grows back in like 8 weeks, and then you can do it again.
I know. It's so incredible. It's like I was a huge fan of the late great Jack Herer. I should say Herer because that's how
Right.
it's name is properly pronounced. Jack Herer, and I was a huge fan of Jack Herer, man. And that guy exposed so much of the bullshit that happened in the week. Did you know that he went to jail? He went to federal prison for 5 years because Reagan wanted him locked up.
That's just because Ronald Reagan wanted him locked up.
Yeah, because
what an asshole.
Ronald Reagan had just gotten elected president, but he was not inaugurated yet. And he was in California, and Jack Herer was in California, and Jack Herer was having a pro-pot demonstration with his pro-pot demonstrators, right?
Uh-huh.
And the traffic, or it disrupted the traffic or something like that when Reagan was trying to get a fucking haircut. He walked into the barber shop and he said to the barber, "What are those Canadians protesting about?" He thought they were fucking Canadians. Okay. So what are those Canadians protesting? Whatever, right? And they said, "Oh no, those are the, you know, the pot people." And that he's like, somebody ought to do something about that. Right? Was this whole deal. So then she got in the war on drugs. He brings all that shit in that. So they arrested Jack Herer, prosecuted him, and convicted him to 5 years in a federal penitentiary. And you know what the crime was?
What?
Registering voters on public property after dark.
What? Is that even a real thing?
Yeah, they brought out some fucking ancient anti-war spy fucking law, some anti-war terror. Yeah, some fucking ancient law that he was trying to he was signing up, he was trying to get voters registered to, you know, trying to get petitions signed about legalized pot, right? But he was doing it on government-owned property, and it was after sunset, and some fucking obscure law made that illegal, and they gave him fucking 5 long for that.
Wow. Did he end up doing the whole 5?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's insane.
So yeah, Jack Herer. But Jack Herer was the guy that talked about how you know, back in the Reefer Madness days and shit, you had hemp was on the rise for paper and stuff like that. But DuPont had very high hopes for his plastics manufacturing and his plastics empire that he was trying to build.
Right.
William Randolph Hearst had money invested in DuPont's plastics shit. William Randolph Hearst then published a fucking full-on bullshit National Enquirer magazine article in his newspaper that some woman and her whole family went crazy when they smoked marijuana. It's a complete fabrication, fabrication. Like it was not even based on a true story. It was just a complete fabrication. Then you know what they did? A really pathetic figure who was like some fucking forestry department guy, some fucking weird, obscure dude that was in the pockets of DuPont and Hearst, took this newspaper article into Congress and got them to legislate hemp to be illegal.
Wow.
Based on this fucking article. That the growing of it was illegal, right?
Uh-huh.
And then they started the whole thing because it was all DuPont's plan, because hemp would be the shit we'd be using today instead of plastic.
Yep.
Which would be much better for the whole world, by the way.
Everybody in it.
So we owe 70 years they told lies about marijuana based on a lie that was based on a lie.
Right. Yeah, that's crazy. But 5 years. I'm still and like shocking all over the Jack Hare thing for the 5 years over some bullshit like that. That's insane.
You gotta see, what's the name of that documentary about him? I'm gonna have to look it up now. Keep talking. That's obsessive people sometimes can't get it over themselves. We're gonna because everybody should see this. It's the most informative cannabis documentary you'll ever find. Also, by the way.
Nice. Yeah, I want to know who it is.
It's called Emperor of Hemp.
Oh, the Word of Hemp?
Emperor of Hemp, I think is what
Emperor of Hemp. Okay, yeah, I've heard of it.
Well, The Emperor Wears No Clothes was the book that he wrote while he was doing that 5 years.
Oh, okay.
While he was doing that 5 years, he wrote a book that was the expose in the 70s or whatever, the 80s, I should say, at the time, about, hey, hemp was used for our canvas and for our sails and our ships, and it's used for this, it's been used for that, and George Washington grew hemp and blah, blah, blah. And he wrote all this shit in a book, about how these lies had happened. And then they made a documentary about him called The Emperor of Hemp.
Wow.
The Jack Hare story. Yep, right there.
Oh, nice. Huh?
The Jack Hare story. And that is a great, great documentary. He's telling his own story when he was still alive. He's dead now,
Right.
It was in the last few years of his life.
Wow. Yeah, that's really crazy. Yeah, definitely gonna have to check out that documentary. Thank you. I want to give you a quick thank you for hanging out with me for about almost an hour.
Hey, man, I appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem.
I'll talk your ass off all night till we get to the end.
Right, yeah. But go ahead
and my lovely home.
But yeah, go ahead and tell the people what you got going on, like where to find you and what events you got coming up.
You guys can see me in this thing right here. It's at Casey's Comedy. That's my TikTok. That's my Instagram. That is my whatever. It's caseyscomedy.com is my website as well. I will be on the No Line to Cross show, which is free on Sunday out of Ottawa. It's Zoom. Just do a search for No Line to Cross. You can get the ticket free, Eventbrite or Facebook. I will be at Bruno's Pizza on the 12th. And I will be, where else will I be? This is important. So I'm going to tell you where it is that I'm going to be. Where else will I be? I will be at This Could Get Awkward, which is a show out of the UK on the 14th at 9 a.m. via Zoom because it's nighttime over there. So anyway,
Oh yeah,
all
that's
right.
true.
Appreciate you very much, man. David, so much fun talking to you.
Yeah, it was a great time, dude. I appreciate you coming on. I do plan on going live once a month. If you want to come back on the 22nd, if you're not busy.
Heck yeah.
Nope, I have. Okay, so I
I'm
have.
gonna put it down right now.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll have Casey McNeal coming back on the 22nd for the live edition of Oops Caught Me Smoking, and JC from hashtag Dad Swag will also be there. And who knows? Who knows? Who knows who else might show up? There we go. You think for being a podcaster, I could talk better. But again, Casey,
gotta have the Jack Hare vape.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking I might be a little bit too stoned, if there's such a thing.
Never such a thing.
Exactly. But
Thanks
again, sir, thank you for coming on. And everyone go to caseyscomedy.com and check out all of Casey's videos. You can catch out all his events are all right there too. That's caseyscomedy.com. Thank you, sir. Love you, sir.
Look forward to seeing you again sometime. 22nd. I'm writing it down right now.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you again on the 22nd, sir. And again, thank you.
Right,
and everyone, I love you. Stay up. Peace. And I see you eyeballing my candle through your monitor over there. I know what you're doing. If you want your very own candle to look just like this little pot leaf here candle right here, this leafly candle. If you want your very own candle like this or custom made candle, you can go to familymadecandles.com. And my boy Jason Sturgill over there would be glad to hand dip a candle for you. Custom made, the leaf candle that you want, like you see here. If you want this thing's cool. I like it. I'll probably never ever burn it. But familymadecandles.com. Go get your candle today.
Scene one, Apple, take one.
You want to get high?
That's right.
You caught me smoking. You caught me smoking. Smoking. You caught me smoking. You caught me smoking. You caught me smoking. Some